Okay, in today's video, we are going to discuss the importance of the placenta when a baby has suffered a traumatic brain injury at birth and there's a suspected infection. All of this is from a medical legal standpoint, and so I want to jump right into this video. Let's define some terms. What is the placenta and what does it do? The placenta, it actually develops in the uterus and it is responsible for blood. It's responsible for providing the baby with blood and nutrients. In addition to providing blood and nutrients, the placenta also removes waste from the blood. Growing from the placenta is also the umbilical cord. So as we can see, the placenta, it plays a very important role in the development of a child. And so that issue of infection, now, why is that important? Well, if you've listened to some of my other videos, you know that I've talked about when we are doing an investigation for families. In other words, we're trying to help them understand what caused their baby's traumatic brain injury at birth. When we're doing these investigations, there's a lot of areas that we're covering because the law requires, especially if you're in a state like here in Maryland, the law requires us to prove certain things. And if we can't prove these things, the case is not going to be successful. And one of these elements that is hotly contested is that element of causation. So sometimes what you'll have is the lawyers that are representing the doctors and the nurses in the hospital, they will concede. They'll say, yes, an injury occurred, but we did not cause the injury. We're not responsible for what happened. And when you look at this or you analyze this in that context of infection, the placenta can be extremely important. And this is why. So in some cases, what you will have is an infection called chorioamnionitis. This infection can occur. And so chorioamnionitis is really an infection of the placenta. And so when the placenta is analyzed and the placenta is being reviewed by a placental pathologist, there are certain things that they're going to be able to see and they're going to make notes of in their reports. And chorioamnionitis is the type of infection that can be extremely dangerous for a baby. It can be extremely dangerous. It can also lead a baby to suffer a traumatic brain injury, among other things. And so when doctors and nurses and when these defense attorneys, when they see things like infections, they will quickly latch on to it because that will go to their argument that no, we didn't cause it. We had nothing to do with it. It was the infection that mom developed, and that is why the baby has suffered a traumatic brain injury. Now, this is important, and this is extremely important to understand. When we are analyzing these cases, or when you're looking to speak with someone to help you with trying to figure out what happened, it is imperative that you talk with attorneys who have experience and they know what the issues are with these types of cases, because the literature and what can happen with chorioamnionitis is in some instances, it can be caused because mom was open for too long. In other words, mom can acquire the infection while she's in the hospital. And some of the areas that we're going to be looking at and analyzing is, number one, was it a prolonged labor? In other words, to say it another way, was mom's labor not progressing? And so if you got a prolonged labor and mom is open for for hours and hours, then yes, an infection can occur, a hospital acquired infection. And these issues really become important when, for example, let's say that when mom's water breaks, the water is clear. It's not discolored. It does not have a foul smell or anything like that. Or mom did not have a fever or anything like that going on during labor and delivery. These types of things are important because most of the time when a person is dealing with chorioamnionitis and they've been dealing with it for a while, you're going to have a fever. You're going to have discoloration of the fluid. You're going to have a foul smell. So I know that I talked about a lot in this video, but I'm trying to help you understand Some of the things that a birth trauma attorney like myself, some of the things that we are looking at when we're working to find answers for families and trying to help them figure out what caused the baby to suffer a traumatic brain injury. In some instances, these injuries can occur. Sometimes you will have genetic issues that can come up and they will cause the injury, or you may have developmental issues that may come up and they may be the cause, or you may have had infections that occurred early in the process and they have impacted the baby. But the point of this video is to help you understand, like I said, the things that birth trauma attorneys like myself that we know to look for to help families find answers. If you have more questions, more likely you're watching this video today because your baby has suffered a traumatic brain injury. And maybe you do, or you did have that chorioamnionitis type of infection. And you're wondering, okay, well, did this happen during my labor and delivery? Did the infection happen then? Or was it something that happened earlier in the pregnancy? Maybe you have these types of questions. If you have that going on, your baby has an HIE diagnosis, or maybe even a subsequent cerebral palsy diagnosis, there's a telephone number down below. I invite you to go and pick up the phone and call me. I speak with families like yours all the time about these issues. We talked about chorioamnionitis, certain types of infections, the placenta, HIE today. We talked about a lot of things today. This is what we do. One more thing before I go. When you call my office, be sure to let my secretary let them know that you want a date and a time. It's important to pick a date and a time to get on our calendar so we can reach out to you and call you back and hear what happened with your baby story. Remember, it costs absolutely nothing to call us initially and talk with us about what you have going on with your child. One more thing, again, before I get out of here today. I practice law here in the state of Maryland. I know this video is on the internet. It's on social media platforms. It's on websites and things of that nature. And I can't control who's going to watch it and who's going to pick up the phone and call me. Just know that if you call me and you are not in the state of Maryland, that we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. That's what we have to use. And that's something that we can work with you on and help give you information on. But I just want to make sure that you understand that co-counsel or that local counsel aspect of things. If you're in Maryland, then you're already good. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. We'll talk with you next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.